All right, we will call regular council meeting to order. It's 3 p.m. and I will please ask Councillor Hystad to do the land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Your Worship. The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nations of Alberta, Region 3, with the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Hystad. We'll move into 2.1. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No? Can I please have someone make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll move on to 3.1, the regular council meeting minutes for January the 13th. And when someone's ready, Councillor Bates.
I'll move those minutes.
Okay, thank you. Any changes? All in favor? Carried. And then 3.2, the agenda and priorities meeting for January the 20th. Councillor Dunham.
I'll move those minutes.
All right, thank you. Any changes? All in favor? All right, thank you. So next we have 4.1, Community Peace Officer recognition. So Derek, welcome. And I don't know, I guess you can just sit there, but just, yeah. You can come up. Yeah, you can come up if you like. So, yeah. Just want, on behalf of council, just want to say thank you so much for the efforts on the morning of the fire at Westwood Court, and thought it important that you're kind of officially recognized by council for those efforts and probably for saving somebody's life. And we just wanted to let you know that we appreciate it very much. Okay? Okay. No, you're welcome. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, we don't have any. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 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 No, thanks. Thanks, Derek. Yeah. Okay. All right, and we'll move into 4.2 with our CEO report with CEO Becker.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. Hello, Council. The report is there for your review. If there's any questions regarding the report, I just want to highlight one item on the second page, just regarding the operational and mechanical issues at the Twin Arenas, which occurred on the weekend of January 17th. Just circling back with Council, if there's any questions in regarding the status of the operations, mechanical or communication protocols in regarding that weekend. We have staff available through the director and manager if there's any more technical questions.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hystad?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. No, the only thing that I appreciate the email, back to council. The only thing, just, I know I mentioned this last week, how cold it was in the arena, and I just think that next time it'd be good to, to use our social media as well as communicating with the public that are coming in and out of the arena. That's the big thing for me that I was looking at, is just communications. As it was a busy weekend in the arena, it was very busy with minor sports, minor tournament going on, as well as Eagles and Didsbury Colts were playing on both sides that evening. So thanks so much to administration, and I would like to thank CEO Becker for communicating back to us. That's it.
Councillor Bates?
Yeah, I think pivoting off of that, I was there actually on a Sunday, so it was still pretty chilly, and I think through minor hockey they were notified that there was the alternate ice resurfacer operating, and it might be slower, and please bear with. I didn't go into the arena last weekend, so I don't know But it probably would have been a good idea if it didn't get done, and maybe it did, to just put a couple little bulletins up to let the public know that they weren't imagining things that the weekend before, and give them a little bit of information as to why it was so cold, because they definitely did notice. And I think it's good to have that communication back. Once you know what happened, I think I understand the actual weekend that it was cold. Nobody had put all that together yet, but maybe the next weekend it would have been good for at least the local teams to know what had happened. Thank you.
So, CEO Becker, I know that, there were some issues, that those happen, but I guess going forward, assuming that maybe some protocols have been reviewed, and, if this or when it does happen again, that maybe some different actions will be taken, and I think the communication is important, and not sure if it's maybe too late now, but I agree, maybe some social media should have gone out even on the Monday or the Tuesday, and maybe it did. I don't know. I don't watch it all the time, but I think it's just a matter of keeping the community informed, and like even on the Saturday of the breakdown, there should have been some communication up to management or even to yourself that this was happening. So, not sure if you can enlighten us as to kind of what has transpired since. And
Thanks for the comments, questions, Council. Mechanical issues have been repaired. I think we're at a balmy 10, which is a little bit excessive. We talked to Trish prior. There was operational pieces that are being addressed, which should not be subject to public, which is the nature of not moving into exposing everything to public, just due to my support of the staff. We received one complaint formally, likely communication with council at the facility. Certainly part of the administrative conversation has occurred moving forward, and certainly encourage council to reach out to your CAO if you're seeing something out of the ordinary, not to put this on the council, but as always available for engagement with you at any time. But the protocols relation to operational expectations have been reestablished through management. And again, the mechanical has been fixed, and hearing council loud and clear on making sure the patrons are safe, and the operations staff are achieving the expectation outlined to them. So I'm comfortable with where we're at based on the feedback and debriefing, but always open for question and conversation.
no, for sure. Thank you for that. And, as you said, it was the perfect storm, right? Yeah, it happens sometimes. So thanks to Trish for everything and getting things back up and running again, for sure. Appreciate it. So are there any more questions for CEO about his report? Or no, just have somebody then please make a motion that we accept his report.
Mayor Barclay, I would make the motion to accept the CAO report dated January 27th for information.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Then we'll move into, council action control 4.3. Any questions about this? CEO Becker.
Question at council, just on the expectation regarding environmental public participation. Council's had some non-public conversation with environment just on the status of some of their work as per the FOIP legislation. Is there any expectations on environmental public participation, knowing where they're at on their focus of the Edmonton greater area? Do you want to maintain this as an action item, or should it be marked red at this given time?
Well, they did do a presentation, the Alberta Plastics Recycling event last week at Field and Forge, the social event that they had there. So that was good to see. And I think my perception from listening to that, the project's still there. It's just a matter of still securing that waste stream, and there's still work going on there. So personally, I would like to see it left on the action control, but I'm not sure what others think about this. Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I'm would like to see it stay on as well, because who knows in the future if they potentially could come back to us and ask us to help with any of the, anything else for any more advocacy, so might as well keep it on there, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, Your Worship, I would agree with Councillor Dunham, keeping it on there just in case. And things could change real quickly. You never know if we were able to have the capacity to push forward with this project. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have a motion to accept the council action control as presented? Councillor Dunham?
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. So we'll move on to 5.1 and an RFD for Active Transportation Fund with Director Kennedy.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. So have in front just an active transportation fund application. Make you aware of this fund that is available through the Government of Canada. Eligible recipients, including municipalities, may apply directly to the Housing, Infrastructure and Communities Canada for the eligible projects. What we thought of, we did have 2 projects identified in the priority 1 list on the Trail Master Plan update. One being the off-leash dog park lighting, would be the solar lighting of 6 lights around the perimeter of the park, as well as the, we identified as a possible project, the new parking lot up by the cemetery for the off-leash dog park, providing a second access and parking location for residents. Total project cost is just under 110,000. Eligible contribution from the fund is 60% of that cost related to the project. What we are looking for is just a recommendation from council just to provide direction to apply for the project, as well as then approve the funding if the project is successful with the application. If you have any questions,
All right, thank you. I will have someone make the motion, first motion, please, and then we can have a discussion about this. Councillor Maceras?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I move that council directs administration to apply for the Active Transportation Fund to assist in covering the cost for the new parking lot to the dog park and lighting around the dog park.
Okay, thank you. Any comments? Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, Your Worship, do we know what those costs, some of those costs may be?
109, 109, 809.
Yeah, so that's it, like the parking and everything? 'Cause I'm thinking of also like, you will have that parking lot there, right near all the tree memorial, I believe, correct? Am I correct? So would we have gates there or have that wide open during that's open though?
yeah, it would be, so there's a gate there right now
Yeah,
that accesses. We would have that gate open but with availability to close it.
okay,
The parking lot itself would be topped with asphalt millings, similar to our other parking lots. Be a paved trail down to the dog park, and then the lighting would go around the perimeter of the dog park itself.
okay. Yeah, and the only reason why I brought up the gate itself was just the security of the graveyard and stuff like that. I think it's a great opportunity. It's just that, I guess mitigation with, I believe that, having it open is great. It's just how we'd handle any security issues that we may have up there with the cemetery. That's how I was looking at it. But sorry to go all over the map. So thanks. No more questions.
No, thank you. I would honestly prefer to defer this where we could have a little more robust discussion about it during an AMP. My concern is the traffic coming through the graveyard, and I know the idea behind this is to give people a second access to the dog park, but I'm not sure that it would just be the people that maybe don't want to walk up the hill, but a lot of people might start parking up at this parking lot, and I'm just not sure how that meshes with the cemetery. And I'm not even sure if maybe we're not at a spot where we should be potentially looking at a smaller dog park for small dogs in the community, as opposed to trying to mix and mingle everybody in this large park. And I think we could see a lot of traffic coming through the cemetery at times, so I just wouldn't mind about, like, having a discussion at an A&P about this, kind of a more overall plan for this. And, you know, I get the lighting and understand that, but we haven't really had an opportunity to kind of sit back and really think about this. And so that's just my thoughts. Councillor Bates.
So, yeah, when I first saw this too, I had some concerns. I have 2 or 3 direct questions, and through to Director Kennedy or whoever might know. Do we know the exact open date on this grant and the close date? Like when it starts and when they will shut it off?
We have to have applicants are being accepted until February 26th. So it does close on the 26th of February.
And it's open now?
Yep.
Okay. And probably to Director Vickers, when's the estimated date that we formally pass the tax mill rate so that we can notify people? Because is that have you got an estimated time when that happens?
Mayor Barkley through to Councillor Bates, so that normally will happen either the first or second council meeting in April.
Okay. And then concerns. I share some of the concerns that Mayor has expressed, but I also was surprised to see this hit this way because, I mean, it was only like 6 weeks ago we're sitting there crunching the budget, and I realized we crunched the budget to the point we didn't even have a contingency. And so then when you get things like this, they got to be funded from somewhere, but it seems like all of a sudden and I appreciate the initiative to try and take advantage of a grant, but yeah, when it's presented here like for approval, and I'm still not comfortable. A couple more questions would be, when I see the price at $109,809, that sounds like a quote. Is it a quote or is it an estimate?
It's an estimate. Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Bates.
Which, again, I'm concerned because we're advanced looking at spending significant money that we didn't budget for. Does this also include work in kind that we would be doing at an expense?
No, it does not.
Okay. And then as I go back, I remember we had a delegation, and that delegation indicated that the lighting could be accomplished with 6 lights. Did we do any research to find out if that's true? Because if I look at 6 lights on the street in front of my own house, and I would assume they're more robust than what these might be, those 6 lights wouldn't light the dog park. I mean, it's pretty big. And yeah, and I look at that access and I say to myself, so would this include fence around the parking lot so people can't depart from the parking lot? Would it include lighting the parking lot? And then I reflect back to the issues we had down at Centennial Park and wonder if we aren't. So yeah, I think we need that other robust discussion, I think, is where I'm going. I throw those questions out. Maybe they can help have answers when we have the discussion. Thank you.
Councillor Maceros, you had your light on.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'll just follow up by saying I had many of the same concerns, and especially about driving through the cemetery to get to that parking lot. And one question I would have, Mayor Barkley through to Director Kennedy, is how many spots are we anticipating for that parking lot?
I don't have a number of total stalls. It'd be very similar to the parking lot that was down by the old BMX track. We kind of size it the same way.
Okay, I would agree with moving this to a discussion to A&P.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hystad?
Your worship, are you needing a motion to table it until the next A&P? I'll make that
That's what
motion.
we wish. Yeah.
Yep, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments? No? All in favor? Okay, so maybe we can chat about it next week then. If that works for everybody. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, and we'll move into 5.2 with Director Kennedy.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. So just coming back to you in regards to a motion that was tabled regarding the solar farm update. Few items that were requested for more information, one being some of the new requirements that have been set out by the AUC in regards to our application. So majority we have addressed in anticipation of some new requirements that weren't official, but we did address a number of them. However, we are not fully addressing the new commissioning requirements. The only other new guidance released in the interim relates to the impacts of Class 2 agricultural and viewscapes, neither of which impact us. So those aren't an issue. Other than that, there is a couple that aren't official, but we anticipate coming down, as well as the decommissioning requirements. So two of the requirements, one being providing a report prepared by a third party estimating the cost for reclaiming the proposed project. This is a report to include the estimated salvage value of the project components. That was one of the items that the extra funding was going to go towards, as well as to provide an explanation as to why the chosen form of security was selected, having regard to its attributes and priority in bankruptcy, including how the secure party would be able to realize on the reclaimed security. The majority of these costs are required through the reclaims of the land, being that it's a public utility lot standard. Really, the salvage of all components would be enough value there. As such, the reclaim fund for the project is not required at this time, based on our consultant's analysis. So as of right now, there are no requirements of anything set in regards to reclaim security. However, if it comes forward, the project would be able to likely held to whatever standard the government releases. So there is no specific requirements set to date. We will revise the in-service date to a much further date in the future. Part of the application, the timeline to construct, we would propose to be 4 to 5 years down the road. This would then allow the approval to be in place until roughly 2030, if that's giving us the opportunity to see how the project progresses, or if an additional extension is required after that. Based on some returns, as mentioned before, projected costs based on the power rates was estimated at 6 to 7 years, but now it's up to 18 to 20. It is administration's recommendation that it doesn't make it financially viable to proceed with the project on our own. What this does, though, is provides us an opportunity to look at other partners within the province, or as they come forward. So it is the administration's recommendation to continue to finalize the project on the application, so that an estimated value of about $15,000 to finalize that application.
Thank you, Director Kennedy. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barkley, I move that council directs administration to finalize the submission to the AUC for the Southwest Industrial Solar Farm project for the estimated cost of $15,000 coming from General Capital Reserve.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'm not sure it's a question exactly. I'm just wondering if I can try and summarize what this says to make sure that I understand it. So basically, administration is recommending that we don't move forward with the project because the return on investment of that project has been extended from that short amount of time to 16 to 18 years. And also that we want to finish the submission to the AUC to keep our options open? Okay. And I know you can't predict the future, but the cost of, or the pricing of electricity is what brought the project kind of to an end. And are we anticipating that those costs could just as quick, or that the prices could just as quickly turn around depending on, you know, some policy coming from government? Is that something that we're thinking about, or?
To Councilor Mazzaro, so based on the analysis, the forecast in there, its projected forecast is not foreseen to be better, but it is based on market trend. Gas prices is a highly volatile one, that if gas prices change, that could change pool pricing. There's a number of volatile things, as well as investors. Opportunities come about. We feel that this just gives us an opportunity to be able to jump on a project. If an opportunity comes from an investor, it does make the project attractable because it's approved by AUC. All of our approvals are in place. So we'd be able to move quicker on that as well. So those are some of the reasons we feel it's an opportunity for us to finalize it.
And one more question. Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Can you tell me what when you're talking about other potential investment opportunities or different partnerships, what does that mean?
So with the industrial park being right there, so potential is partnering up with a future land purchaser that has a project or that may use solar that we can tie to our solar farm to help them power their facility. Opportunities like that may arise with a big industrial park being right there.
I'll just finish by saying I agree with the thinking behind the motion. So thank you for the report.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I'm fully supportive of. Question, Director Kennedy, do you think one thing that I'm not thrilled about, of course, is a potential for another third-party report on the decommissioning, and considering we're a municipality and maybe a little bit different than, you know, private industry, I'm wondering if maybe letter, some advocacy would be helpful with that respect, and maybe seeing if there's a carve-out exemption for municipalities on the decommissioning side of things, and you know, before they put the legislation in place, it includes us, and you know, just kind of some of that red tape reduction. And I'm wondering if you think that would be beneficial.
I think based on the response I got from our consultant, I think they'll look at all avenues, be it, yes, we're a municipality, but also being that it's not developable land, is also going that avenue as well.
But is that something that we should be advocating to the Minister of Energy, Minister Neudorf, about, to make sure that he's aware? I mean, you know, he talks to thousands of people, so we have talked to him about it, but just to put it kind of back in front of them that, you know, this is not developable land and this is a municipality, and because I think a lot of things that we thought were going to happen haven't necessarily happened. Right? And so I just don't want them to lose sight of kind of where we're at with this. And I think even the other aspect, and I don't know enough about it, but my understanding that somebody in the industrial park may not be able to use it because that power would have to cross a road allowance. Is that correct? There's something about the legislation that you can't cross road allowances, correct?
Correct, it's in our franchise agreement too with the
Okay, all
service
right.
provider.
Okay. So is it more franchise, CO Becker, than it is?
Mayor Barkley, I'm not sure if it's legislated
Yeah.
through that service
Okay.
provider or not, but that's what
Okay.
it's outlined in our franchise agreement.
Okay, no, fair enough. So do you think advocacy would help, or do you think just leave it and let the chips fall where they may? And
Mayor Barkley, my thoughts are, I guess, work towards what the director's recommending, but
Yep.
then seeker guidance if you'd like to dissect this project to determine if there's advocacy items that you wish to advance onto government. But right now, the nature of the report is more on the project, not so much on advocacy, but
yeah, no, just
I
wanted
think
your
there
opinion on
likely is
that.
some components within this project that would require advocacy efforts.
Okay, no, fair enough. Okay, Councillor Bates?
Yes, so, to your Director Ken, you have a couple of questions. So if we were to approve this, do we have an estimate how long that last piece would take to get done?
No, I don't have a, so we do have to act on this. Our extension was till February 28th in order to continue on with the application. Then it's, again, it's back to the AUC. If they come back with any more conditions, if not, that process was, up to AUC and our submission.
Okay, you answered my second question first. And that was going to be how long did we have that everything was still on track? But we don't even, I guess what I'm trying to get a feeling for is that if we had this other opportunity that we don't know about yet, how much we would short circuit the finish if, and then when February, at the end of February comes and our extension passes, if we don't do anything, is a considerable portion of the pre-work still useful? In the sense that I assume we had to lay out a whole lot of stuff to get it improved. Can you lay the same stuff back out and say, here's this first part done? Like, do we get it? Is there anything that's salvageable if you don't?
I'm sure there'll be some stuff that's salvageable. A few of the steps that we would have to redo is the Fortis studies that have been done. We would have to redo the AltaLink studies that have been done. Some of the glare studies and things like that probably haven't changed. It would be a simple revisit, but a lot of the previous reporting, though, would have to be redone with them.
Can you even take a wild guess that X percent would have to be redone versus Y percent would, no idea? Or,
It'd be hard to say for sure.
I mean, of the money spent.
Yeah.
Like,
So, out of the 149,000 that's spent to date, it's really hard to know if it's 50%, is it 75%? It's,
no idea.
I have no idea right now, because it would really come down to resubmitting and then seeing what the results are from AUC.
Okay, and then the last question, that looked like another director wanted to speak there, but the last question would be, do we have any idea how long this would, did I miss that already? How long this would be valid?
So it's been a construction date for 4 to 5 years, so
No, but I mean,
2030.
as far as that potential of somebody changing the rules again, there's no, we don't know, even they, as they have presented us with this opportunity to get this certification, haven't said, if you complete this, it's good for such and such years, that then you could start.
Sure, I understand your question, but I'm
The-
assuming,
If they complete it and they say, congratulations, Innisfail, you've got this project approved, they're not saying it's good for 5 years, good for 7 years before you start. They're not saying that, how do I?
Just wondering how long the approval is for.
Is it like your driver's license, it's good for 5 years, or?
I think there's some factors that, again, we don't know. AUC may be subject to their own policy
Right.
changes that we can't anticipate.
No, I realize there's no,
A little bit of a gamble. What the director's saying is 149,000 to point. We're likely gonna have to take the big chunk ones, then redo. Good chance they're more than $15,000 to put us in a queue for future economic opportunity. It could be, next few years, the recommendation is to advance in that investment of $15,000. So, totally admitting there's some unknowns with this, but we're seeing with the best bet to keep this in a queue. We're asking council to consider this investment.
yeah, I just have that internal feeling that I'm about to approve $15,000 and we probably won't use it. That's the tough part to me, but.
Okay, Councillor Hystad?
Your worship, thanks. I'm okay with agreeing with the 15,000. We've already committed funds to this project and potentially could be utilized some other way within the industrial area. So that's how I'm looking at it. And, you know, this is, you know, we learn a lot over these 3.5 years, 4 years. And I think that, you know, studies like this will allow us or even future councils to be you know, prepared if things change, you know, come October. How's that? Thank you.
And the goalpost removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Dunham.
Just sort of a statement. I support this. I think when we first envisioned the direction that we were going with the power of place and what this industrial park was supposed to be, this was supposed to be somewhat of an integral part of it. I think this allows us to reach in directions for potential businesses to come down to town that this would be advantageous for them. So I support it. No, is it a guaranteed thing? But as we have seen, nothing is a guaranteed thing, especially with this government that we've got right now. So if they move the goalpost again, they move it. And it's just a shame that they have such a lukewarm reception to the renewable sector at this point in time and have changed things.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Yeah, I would just add my support. We're 90% in. I can't see stopping now. We've got to get this done, and there's nothing worse than having a vinyl trophy sitting on a shelf that isn't being used. So I agree that we should just get it done and start looking for especially some of the benefits that I'm hoping are going to come from all of the economic development work that we're doing. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to proceed. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we will move on to 6.1 on RFD with Manager Mackenzie. Welcome.
Thank you. So today, just here to bring forward the Innisfil Harvest Festival's sponsorship request in 2024, policy number 2024-008. So sponsorships and requests for funding was approved for implementation. This is the first ask that we have received since that policy was passed. The policy outlines that requests for sponsorship may be submitted by organizations operating within Innisfil or benefiting the community. Requests should address specific community needs or benefit the community as a whole. Each request will be considered on a case-by-case basis, taking into account the unique characteristics of the event or initiative, the anticipated benefits to the community, and alignment with town priorities. All requests will be reviewed by Town Council. So a little bit of history in regards to this specific event. In 2022 and 2023, the Community Services Standing Committee supported the Innisfil Special Events Planning Society through the Community Benefit Fund for the Innisfil Harvest Festival in the amount of $1,100. On March 13th of 2024, CSSC recommended that Council consider the Innisfil Harvest Festival for annual sponsorship. And then at the March 25th, 2024 meeting of Council, $1,100 in sponsorship was approved by Council to be funded from the operating budget. Through the discussion and development of the various community services policy, it was determined that the requests for larger scale annual events were best supported by the sponsorship policy. So as far as anticipated outcomes, just determining the sponsorship of the Innisfil Harvest Fest. Financial implications, the 2025 operating budget currently identifies $5,000 for sponsorship.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have someone make a motion and fill in the blank? Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'd like to move that Council provide sponsorship to the 2025 Innisfil Harvest Fest in the amount of $1,100 to be funded from the 2025 operating budget.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I have a question for you. So the $1,100, that's writing a check for that amount, or is that inclusive of all of the in-kind support that the town offers the event?
That
as
is
well?
us writing a check.
It's writing a check.
Yeah.
So is there any way, though, then when we're speaking to the community or when we're speaking to the Harvest Festival people, that we can have a bigger understanding about what the actual value is relative to having the bathrooms open and closing the roads and having bylaw or RCMP. Like, I think it's helpful for people to understand that events like this don't happen just for what you write a check for. And I think it's important, especially in support of our policy, that we talk about what that whole overall looks like. So if there's a way we can do that, I would appreciate that.
It is something we certainly talked about when we were reviewing other community policies, when we were creating our community services policies and separating them out. There is some communities that do have like a dollar value associated with various in-kind donations. It's not an avenue we went down, but I definitely think it's something that we can explore in the future.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay, so we have a motion for $1,100 for funding. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to 6.2, the FCSS board recommendations for the remaining 2024 funding with Manager Mackenzie's.
So just looking for a decision regarding the remaining 2024 FCSS funding based on the recommendations of the FCSS Advisory Board. So annually, the board reviews grant applications from local organizations to support preventative social programming within the Innisfil community. The FCSS Advisory Board met on April 10th of 2024 to determine recommendations for the distribution of the 2024 grant funding. Of the total $129,000 that was available, external funding in the amount of $105,000 was allocated by the FCSS Advisory Board, and they were brought forward and approved by Council on April 22nd. The FCSS Advisory Board was then approached by the Innisfil High School to inquire about financial support for their coping with change, loss, and grief program. The program is facilitated within the school by Leanne Mountain of Naturally Nurtured and open to all students grade 9 to 12 that are interested in attending. The following motion was made and passed via email on June 6th that the FCSS Advisory Board recommend to Council to approve FCSS funding in the amount of $3,750 to the Innisfil High School for the Coping with Change, Loss, and Grief course. As far as service level impacts, it would be minimal impact to current FCSS staffing. It would just be our regular liaising with funded agencies and reporting requirements as per the administration of the program. As far as financial impacts, the 2024 FCSS operating budget had $129,000 allocated for grants to local agencies and organizations to support preventative social programming. The FCSS Advisory Board made previous recommendations for $105,000 of that FCSS funding. As per the chart that's below, the remaining $20,250 balance will become part of the annual operating budget surplus. The town contributes beyond the provincially required amount outlined within the FCSS funding agreement, so therefore there is no repayment to the province that is required. And then the 2025 budget currently has $105,000 allocated for external grants to others, with that grant deadline being the end of February.
Okay, thank you, Manager Mackenzie. Can I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barkley, I move that Council accept funding recommendations to allocate 2024 FCSS external grant funding to Innisfil High School for the Coping with Change, Loss, and Grief course in the amount of $3,750 as per the recommendation put forward by the FCSS Advisory Board.
Okay, thank you. Any comments? Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I fully support this. I mean, any additional program that we can give to our students to help them in the process of becoming adults and enabling them to potentially have the capacity to deal with grief, loss, etc., I think is a really good thing for us to be doing and sets a really good example, so I support it.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask you a favor? Maybe this is putting you on the spot, but can you give like a Coles version, just short and sweet, of the other two programs, the Family School Wellness and the YES program?
I can do my best.
Okay. Doesn't need to be
So the
expansive.
Family School Wellness program within Chinookset School Division currently employs 3 Family School Wellness staff that are available in all 3 of the schools within the division. A lot of their work is more of that one-on-one system navigation. They are often that school contact point to then make referral out to external organizations. And then the YES program, YES stands for Youth Empowerment and Support Program. So they have a position that supports, I believe it's K-8, at the schools through various different programming, classroom presentations, after-school programming, with the intention of that skill building piece for youth.
Perfect, thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, so we have a motion, all in favor? All right, carried. Thank you, Manager McKenzie. And we'll move on to 6.3 with Director Jenkins on town office window replacement.
All right, thank you, Mayor Barkley. So we're looking to revisit this report that came to council a couple of weeks ago. And I do apologize, I don't feel like I provided council with a very good breakdown of how the costs came in around this. So the 2024 capital budget identified the town office window replacement with an amount of $50,000. Again, there are original windows in the building. Winnie, if you want to scroll down to the financial impact part. So when quotes came back, the windows for standard double pane is $65,700, so we were over budget with the double pane. The upgrade to triple pane windows represents an additional $7,250. So it isn't the full budget allocation, the 22.5 or 22.9 that would result in that triple pane upgrade. But as we are still continuing to recommend the triple pane option. Just referencing on our 2022 energy policy and just some general information around triple pane windows. They're generally considered 20% more energy efficient. Green Building Council identifies various energy efficiency levels, so these would be considered a good standard as opposed to the double pane. In addition, triple pane windows improve occupant comfort, reducing drafts, soundproofing, and increase durability and security. The average return on investment for triple pane windows is between 10 and 20 years. Due to the way the town office building is configured with our gas metering, it's quite difficult to directly allocate a return on investment for this project. But we do feel the additional 11% increase is warranted. So we do have the recommended motion provided for council. If council does wish to go with the double pane option, we would still be looking for a budget adjustment in the amount of $15,700.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Maceros.
Okay, thank you. I move that council approves an additional $22,950 plus GST to be funded by the Infrastructure, Capital Maintenance and Repair Reserve to complete the town office window replacement project.
Okay, thank you. Comments? Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Thank you for the more granular, but yeah, I mean, I'm not the best at math, but when you break it down over the 30 years, which is probably the life expectancy, you're looking at like $20 a month, really. And obviously that's going to be an energy saving. So now that I see this, I definitely am in support of it. Thank you very much.
Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, through to Director Jenkins and to all of council. I had a call from a citizen this weekend who had read the newspaper story, and she wanted me to bring this forward, that they have gone with triple pane windows, and it has made trying to conduct any business by way of cell virtually impossible. So I don't know if that is something that has come up in any of the research, but I just wanted to put that out as a consideration before we vote.
Silence.
This,
Councillor Hystad.
thanks, Your Worship. Back to Councillor Maceros. So you were saying that it was impossible for that individual to sell their Oh, cell phone. Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. So I was like, sell? I'm like, sell the place? I'm good. Thanks. Need a hearing test.
See you,
Go with that
Becker.
needle.
Like Councilor Mazeros' point, I have triple pane in my house, I have good cell service, that's all I can relate it to, but I think triple pane is a standard largely. Have not conducted research, but I've not heard anything different than it's still acceptable.
Councillor Bates.
I can support the project. I will say from all of my previous lifetime in energy efficiency, the most important thing with windows is they get put in properly.
Okay, anything else? No? Okay, so we have a motion, all in favor? Okay, carried. All right, and we'll move on to 7.1, correspondence and information. Not much correspondence here. And we'll move right into we'll have a motion to accept the correspondence as presented. Councillor Hystad.
I'll make that motion to accept the correspondence.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Then we'll move into our council reports, and we'll begin with Councillor Dunham.
My report is there for information. I have nothing else to add.
Okay, then. Next, Councillor Wing.
Ditto. I have nothing to add. Thanks to Juanita for getting my report into the package.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bates.
So my report is there for information. I actually got it in early this time. But I attended one meeting after, and it was the RCMP Safe and Wellbeing, Police and Safe and Wellbeing. So there's a few things to report. They're starting this year's survey this week, I believe, and it'll proceed through March the 7th with the target of April 1st, the RCMP being able to have their priorities. February the 25th or 27th to be determined by a venue availability. They intend to have their next town hall. They went through some of the crime stats, and some of those stats are up from historic lows. It was mentioned that quite often it's like one or two events can have a big change in percentages when you're starting from lows. It was mentioned that it's hard to believe, but already they've been tapped for a constable to be assigned to planning the June G7 security for Kananaskis. And it kind of was ironic, but apparently they've gained a constable about the same time, so it's worked out pretty well. And then we had a really good presentation from Constable Nelson. He basically gave us just a great presentation of all the things he does, how he does certain things, and what his goals are, and that sort of thing. So it was great. And every time you hear from him, you get the feeling of what an impact he has when he has 1,500 students, and I think he said up to 300 staff that he can work with. And he did compliment even the town on basically paying for his position. So I think that's appreciated. And it was really interesting. Before I came here today, I happened to be with two of my grandchildren from Cochrane and listening to some issues that they have in their school. And the first question I asked was, do they have a resources officer? And they don't. And it was really interesting to listen to them. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I actually do have one thing to add to my report, and that is that I also attended the lacrosse triad event. And we got quite competitive among the four of us who were there.
Thank you. And Councillor Hystad.
Yeah, I want to apologize to you, Mayor Barkley. I was away for a couple days and I didn't get my report in. So, I did the Triad event, the MP or Municipal Planning Commission training, as well as the Brood volunteer training session, and as well as the MP event to meet with Blaine Calkins. Yeah, that's about it. But I would just want to apologize for doing that. And it was a rough Thursday night because I saw my Canucks lose. So that's why. I'll blame the Canucks. Thanks.
Well, okay. And I'll just add, we had a special SRD meeting last Thursday, so the emergency storage pond in Innisfail is moving forward. And they'll be, of course, reaching out to Director Kennedy and getting that started in the next few weeks. So that is good to see. And then on, I don't know, Thursday or Friday, went to the Central Alberta Collegiate Institute event in Red Deer at RDP, and that was so interesting. So this is a program that all the school divisions in the area, Wolf Creek, Red Deer Public, Red Deer Catholic, Chinook's Edge, RDP and Olds College, along with Careers Next Generation, is collaborating on, and it's a program for kids from grade 8 through 12. And they can enter this program, which is focused on the trades, and start to get experience and try it opportunities at RDP and Olds College within the trades. And what was so amazing was having 3 students there who have been through the program. They were 3 young men. Every one of them had kind of the same insight. They had such a hard time sitting still in school. They didn't really like high school. One of them said they had to go because both parents were teachers. But, when they could go into a place of business and they're using some of the skills that they were learning in the trade in high school, and then take that back to the school and understand why things like math and science are so important, and apply that to the real world, all of a sudden now it made such a difference to them. And the applicants to this program are very limited, so there's a lot of parameters around the program on participation and showing up to work on time, showing up to school on time. They spend time teaching soft skills, so even down to how to shake hands with somebody. And there was 3 employers there as well, and they just glowed about this program. And these kids that are coming out of high school and coming to work at places like Peterbilt, and just the maturity in them and their knowledge, and it's been extremely successful. So it was great to hear those stories the other day. And I know Chinook's Edge here was present, and of course I think Careers Next Generation is quite involved in our community as well. So it is a great success story. And RDP has also just had confirmation of their funding, and they're going to have a special dedicated space to, it's called CACI, and they will have a dedicated space that they are building within RDP for this program. So that's going to get underway very soon. Just a couple of other things. I mentioned, I don't know, maybe a month ago now, but a few months ago I had listened to a webinar through Alberta Council with Clay Dyer, and he presented, and it was all about grants for events and festivals, and I don't think this money is completely taken up on. So I look at all the events going on in our community and the opportunities that are there, and so I'm making a motion that I would like to direct administration to reach out to Alberta Council and Clay Dyer and consider whether it's possible for him to either do it virtually or come to our community and do a presentation to the town of Innisfail, as well as nonprofits in our community, on the opportunities that are available. A lot of things they spoke about that day, of course, were having multiple day events, not just one day events, but there were some pretty amazing examples of events that have gone from maybe 100 or 200 people participating to now over thousands of people participating in communities this size. So just like to put that motion out there if anybody has any questions about that. And if not, I'll just go ahead, Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barclay, I support it
Yeah.
100%. Thank
Thought
you so
you
much
might.
for doing that.
Yeah,
That's
no, that
wonderful to
there's
hear.
both Canadian, or like Government of Canada and Government of Alberta grants available, and so I think he was the person that wrote our grant, right? Yeah. So, okay, I'll just ask everybody in favor of that motion. Thank you. And then secondly, going back several months now, we had a report come forward from Fuse Consulting, and it was around the nature trail and the signs. And within that report, there was discussion or an opportunity for what they call them, self-guided educational package that would be available to the schools, and they would be able to use those self-guided, a teacher would be able to use those self-guided package to take students out and learn about nature and all sorts of things. And you know, I do spend some time at Kerrywood, and I see what they're doing there with outdoor education. So I'm not looking for the town to fund this program, but I would like to make a motion to direct administration to go back to Fuse and find out exactly how much those packages cost, or whether it's one package per school, or however it works, or putting those kits together, I think is how they refer to them. So, does anybody have any questions about that? Or? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. And I think that's it for today. So we will go to number 9. We won't bother because there's nobody here. Number 10, upcoming events. Are there any additions or changes needed in this schedule? If not, I'll just have somebody please make a motion that we accept the upcoming events as information. Councillor Bates.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then we'll have a motion to go in camera, please. Councillor Hystad.
Motion to go in camera.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, we'll just take a 5-minute break.